right? And so never allowing a situation or circumstance to define your life, and understanding that you got something inside of you that's greater than that situation or that circumstance, but you have to constantly believe it. And not only believe it, you have to make decisions and choices every single day that put you a step forward toward what you believe your destiny is. Either somebody is in the midst of adversity, or just came out of adversity, or it won't be long before they head into adversity. So you need to be prepared either way. And so we all go through adversity, opposition. I think that's the thing that makes us all in common as people. Right? No matter if you're from London, Atlanta, Florida, California, New York, like we're all going to go through something at some point or phase in our life, right? And as cliche as it sounds, when the quote says, it's never about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to it. That's very true, right? But in the same sense, I think what's most important is when we go through something, what's the perspective that we have of it, right? Because for most people, when you go through something, the person's natural perspective is, okay, what did I lose, right? What happened to me? Like I took a loss, right? People never look at it and say, okay, man, tell me, what did you gain, right? Even though I know it hurt, you didn't want to go through it, but look at it in a way to where you can say, what's the lesson in this, right? What would you say life is trying to teach you from dealing with this? And so when I went through it, my perspective was, okay, what can I extract from it to apply to other areas and aspects of my life that I feel can help other people? And I firmly believe the quicker you can shift your perspective from yourself to others when you're in the midst of adversity, the quicker you'll get through it, right? Martin Luther King has a quote that says, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing to help other people? Now, I'm not telling you to not acknowledge your pain. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you not to say, man, I'm going through this and it's hard. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you go through it, look at it, step back from the picture and say, okay, I'm dealing with this. 9 out of 10 times, it's somebody else that's either dealt with it or they're going to deal with something similar to this. And if I deal with it in the right way, I can use it to add value to lives of other people. The funny thing was, I had never heard of the injury that I suffered. Never heard of it. When I went through it, I met probably 10 guys years after that had been going through it, that I could talk to at different stages and phases in the process and say, hey man, Ink, how did you deal with this? How did you deal with this? When they told you this, how did you accept that? And I was like, bingo, this is how I got through it. But I had to shift my perspective from why me to why not me? Can you take the things you learned that made you great in that sport and apply them to other areas and aspects of your life to make you just as great as a person? Man, it's funny. I think the true measure of wealth is happiness, right? Like I really do. And that's not saying that I'm against money. I'm not against that at all, because you gotta work hard, make your money to take care of your family and be able to bless people. But I think it's a lot of people with so-called wealth and they don't have joy and they don't have happiness, right? And I feel like joy, happiness is peace is the most important things we can possess, right? And for most people, their material possessions, they feel are the most important. For me, when you got joy, when you got peace, when you got happiness, I think that's true wealth, because you can't put a price on that.
There are going to be wave after wave after wave after wave of inconvenient that hits you in the mother face, all right? That doesn't matter. People who win regardless of those waves. It's not that they don't have those waves, it's that they say, hey, I can't control what the f is going on. All I control is what I decide in my mind and the actions I take. Some days are going to be harder than others. Some days are going to be a little easier than others. But I can promise you one thing for sure. There will never, ever, ever be a day that goes exactly as you want it to go.
The world owes you nothing. The world doesn't think you're special like your mom does. It doesn't think you're a delicate little flower. It doesn't care about you. Now, with that being said, the world doesn't hate you. It doesn't want you to fail. It just is, okay? You don't know everything, okay? You have to understand winning in business is not about you personally as the CEO of a company being the best at every skill set. There's certain things in my company that I have no a clue on how to do. But that's okay. My job is to go out and find people that can do that far better than myself so that we can win as a team. And this attitude of, I've got to be the best and I've got to win and I've got to, and I'm the best at everything and I know more than you. It makes horrible leadership. Nobody fucking respects that. People respect when you look them in the eye and you say, hey, what do you think? And then they give you an answer, and then it's your job to decide whether or not that is the best thing to do or whether or not somebody else has the best thing to do. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not be right. It's okay to admit that you weren't right. And in fact, if you want the respect of your team and your peers, you will be willing and able to admit that you made mistakes the minute that you make them. You want to be somebody who succeeds. You want to be somebody who builds something. You want to be somebody who people write books about one day. You are going to have to be okay with being bad at for a long time. And that's the mentality you guys have to have. You have to be okay with looking like an idiot for a long time. People start what-ifing themselves. All right. They say, all right, I got this great idea, but what if I do all this work and it doesn't work? What if I put in all this time to become an excellent employee and I don't get promoted? What if I put in all this work to become an excellent salesman and I don't sell? What if, and I'll tell you what if, where you're going to be. Because it isn't going to be any better than where you are now. You talked yourself out of going after what you were supposed to go after. You talked yourself out of your purpose. You talked yourself out of the idea that success is cause and effect, not magic luck or magic fairy dust. You see big things, you hear big things, you see people who do big things, and you automatically say, wow, that guy's so lucky. Wow, she's so lucky. Wow, that's so lucky that happened. Quit using the word luck, quit believing in luck, and start believing in work. Start believing in fortunate. Start believing in results that come from your actions. And when you do that, and you wholeheartedly believe it, guess what? That's what starts to happen.
It simply means that hard times are nothing more than growth coming to get you in wolf's clothing. I'm going to repeat that again with great love and respect because it's important. Hard times, we all go through hard times. It's really nothing more than growth in wolf's clothing. And the real game of the legend and history maker and titan and hero is growth. It's about taking your gifts and your talents and materializing them each day. And how do you do that? You do that by using every single thing that happens to you, good or bad, as grist for the mill. In other words, using everything that happens to you, painful and poetic, to make you stronger and to introduce you to the primal hero that lives at the core of every human heart. I've gone through some very difficult times in my life, sometimes where I was down on my knees, sometimes when I was so confused, sometimes when I was in the valley of darkness. And one of the things that helped me most, and that will help you as you navigate your turmoil and painful seasons of life, is you say, how can I use this to grow? How can I use this to shatter the covering over my ego so I become more creative, more productive, more loving, more of service, more on fire, more of a history maker to humanity in my own unique way? If you look at the greatest people of the planet, the true leaders, the true history makers, the true servants of humanity, if you look at the greatest business builders, if you look at the greatest artists, they all had one thing in common. They suffered more than the ordinary person. If you look at the root of the word passion, it is to suffer. The root of the word passion is to suffer. The great ones suffer for their craft. They suffer for their mission. They suffer for their ambitions. They suffer for their service. So the second point, or the second way to get through hard times, is simply always be asking yourself, how can I use this to serve me, to make me stronger, more creative, tougher, braver, and more authentic? The third way to get through a hard time is to feel to heal. I want you to remember that brain too. If you want to heal it, you need to feel it. People come to me all the time. Robin, I'm heartbroken. Robin, there's someone trying to attack me. Robin, I've lost a business. Robin, I'm dealing with an illness. What do I do with all the pain? Well, here's the point number 3. Feel it to heal it. You know about my 4 interior empires model that is currently disrupting the field of personal mastery, elite performance, and leadership. It's not only mindset, that's only the first interior empire. The second one is heart set. The third one is health set. The fourth one is soul set. I go into it in great detail in my book, The 5 a.m. Club. Here's the point I want to share with you right now in this mastery session. On interior empire number 2, heart set. That is how you turn pain into power. A lot of people say, well, it's all about mindset. Read the books on getting through a difficult time. Read the books on amplifying your psychology. I want to introduce you to this new word I'm offering, your heart set. So when you're going through a difficult time, society says, run away from the pain, run away from the sadness, run away from the anger. What I'm suggesting to you is to heal the wound that someone caused you, or a condition caused you, or an experience has set up within you. You need to go into your heart set.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination. They have some idea in their head, some kind of a vision of what they want to do, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start it. They don't know where to start. And so they say, hey, where do I start? And when's the best time to start? And I have a very simple answer for that. Here and now.
God may be giving you more to work with than what you are working with at this time. You may have far more things that you can potentially do than what you're doing right now. That's why I don't like to hang with low-thinking people, because they'll make you underutilize what God has given you. You need somebody to challenge you that you could be doing more than what you're doing right now. You could have more than you have right now, and somebody's got to be bold enough to look you in the face and empower you to go into the enemy's camp and take back what he stole from you.
For every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. Life is hard. It happens to everybody. Life has disappointment. It's got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you could retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley. Because it's life. You can stop thinking that life fitting to be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't.
And those problems you think you've got right now, when do problems really become problems? My problem becomes a real problem when I lose my perspective. My problem becomes a real problem when I give up and I just say, forget it. Your problem becomes a real problem when you start feeling sorry for yourself and have a pity party. Your problem becomes a real problem when you get bitter and you start blaming everybody else for your unhappiness. That's the real problem.
Guys and gals, don't give up. Man, if you get to the point where you're kind of weary and you're going, I'm facing struggles at every turn, don't give up.
You just need some faith, man. Faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible.
But it's hard to let go of what you've been holding on to for so long, even if it's not working anymore. It's really hard to let go. It's like, beg you, see it differently. I beg you to let go. It's not normal. It's just old.
It's time to drop it and move forward. You may be a product of your past, but you don't have to be a prisoner of your past.
Everything that's inflexible and everything that's not ready, everything that's backwards and everything that's negative and everything that's carnal and everything that's holding me back, I refuse to take it over into another year and waste another new year with an old mind. The devil is a lie.
Just because you're used to it doesn't make it normal.
Some of you are taking too much time trying to convince people to love you that do not matter. Tolerating and trying to get people engaged that don't matter, that don't care, that are never ever going to help you get into your destiny.
I came to preach to somebody who everybody else might have given up on you. And life might not be where you want it to be, and you might not have been what you could have been, but it's not too late to become who you are.
We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe any differently, but then we don't walk the talk. We end up acting in a way far different from the beliefs we've shouted. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us. And more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves. The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all.
So what kind of courage do you have? Is yours sort of floating between depending on the situation? Or do you know the difference between right and wrong for your life? And you've made up your mind. Our mind is the control tower of our life. All of our decisions are there. And the truth is, whatever we are today is the result of what we've been thinking about all those years. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't like what's going on around you, maybe you should ask yourself the question, what am I thinking about? What do I think about myself? What do I think about other people? What we think about is really what controls us. This is the control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think. And we can't control everybody else in control of all of our circumstances, but we are going to respond to circumstances in one way or the other. And so what you have to ask is this: what is it that determines what I think? This mind of yours controls everything else in your life.
Are you satisfied with your life as it is? Are you? Is your life giving you what you want? If you had your life to live over again, could you have done more than what you've done thus far? When I ask audiences that, most people agree, yes, I could have done more. I know I could have done more. I've wasted a lot of valuable time. You're going to lose something, lose money. You can recapture that. Don't lose time. You can't get that back.
But I think being grateful probably is number one. If you've got a job, you got to be grateful. Say, this isn't the greatest job in the world. Even if it's a transitional job getting you where you want to go, you got to be grateful. You don't have to love your job or be passionate about your job. Just passionate about staying steady, working hard, learning skills, doing this job so well that the next one will be even better, and taking such good care of this opportunity, another one will present itself.
What's next for me? After all of this, I don't think that things just happen. I believe that they happen just. We have a mindset. We don't want to be the same coming out of this. That you want some radical change. That this could be a major defining moment for you. A day that turns your life around.
If you have an extreme desire to wish to be successful so you can accomplish all you wish to accomplish, be as generous as you'd like to be as strong as you'd like to be. And I think if you say you have to find your passion, people find that a little bit confusing. Where would I find it, and what could I be passionate about? I guess you could start with saying, I'm passionate about providing unusual success for myself and for my family. Then I think the key is to let what you want to accomplish, let that grow. Where at first this is as far as you can see, but if you'll do that, you can say, wow, Maybe I could multiply by 2, by 3, and expand my vision, accomplish a lot more.
Every single time I hear about an issue, every single time I hear another story of pain, every single time I see a seemingly impossible situation, I smile wryly because I know by the grace of God and by His power, I have a testimony. Come on, it is never too late.
Kiss that wrong self-image goodbye. Victory starts in your thinking. Abundance, it starts in our mind. You can't think the same way and expect different results. Start embracing who God says you are.
I want to tell you something today. The moment you make up your mind to get up, you can get up. And no devil in hell, no government, no power, no boss, or anything else can hold you. Once you are free in your mind, you are free.
See, many things we don't do because of the fact we want people to like us. There's some necessary losses in life. When you decide acting in your best interest, you're going to lose some friends. Everybody's not going to approve of you. There's some people that won't like you. Who do you think you are? You're arrogant. What do you think you can do? You're selfish. Thanks, I got that.
Poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. The mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become.
Program your mind, because all that you will do or not do, have or not have, accomplish or not accomplish, will be a direct derivative of what's going on inside of your mind. So if you don't get clear thinking on an issue, you won't be able to develop in that area. Look at somebody say it's time for a change. Well, what stops us? What stops us from making the changes that we need in our behavior, in our situation? It's the mind.
If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter. This decision is yours and yours alone.
But what we want to do is overcome the emotion, because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body's going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion, because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still? Yes. So if I make the person, if I inspire the person to sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot, and they're irritated, and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden, it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, well, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. and it starts to try and anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind and your will is getting greater than the program. And all of a sudden you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. All of a sudden the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. It's neural pruning. It's a death of circuitry. It's a death of emotions. It's the absence, a void of something in your life. And that's important, but in grief, sooner or later, you got to come to a greater understanding about death, a greater understanding about loss, a greater understanding so that you can adapt to those conditions. Every time I sit with someone and they start complaining about their life, and I let them go for a few minutes, and then I go, oh! You know what I say to them? You only complain about your life when it's not working. And the emotion that you're feeling right now is keeping you connected to the past. You never do this when your life is working. And so I don't have a problem with moving through the stages of emotions. But I also know that what a person really wants more than anything else is to be free. People want to be free. And I have witnessed transformation on every culture, on every skin color, every shape, every size, every age. I've witnessed it. And the same radiance that takes place in a person's face, a light behind their eyes, a different physical presentation of their face is eminent, it's real. And that person has worked to overcome themselves. And so it's not that we shouldn't feel emotions, we should feel those emotions and feel them completely. And like a child, get over it though.
And people these days, they say, oh, you gotta let your emotions out. You gotta let your emotions out. If you gotta cry. And I understand where that's coming from. And you can get to a point as a person, if there's something that's really traumatic that's happening and all you do is hold it in. And I've seen guys get destroyed over that because they're not expressing the emotions that they have. Right. But that's at a big level, right? At a daily level, no. Yeah. You don't express those things. You keep them inside. That's why I say it like that. Like I'm being kind of sarcastic, but at the same time I'm being serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just don't let your emotions out and into the world.
Yeah.
Keep them for yourself. Own them.
Yeah.
Keep them for yourself. Don't share them with other people if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Now, again, people are going to freak out that I'm saying this because you bury your emotions. Because that what happens when you when you've got something really traumatic that you bury, then it eats you apart. And I've talked about that. I mean, talking about things that you go through in life and expressing those feelings that you have about them, that's good. Mm-hmm. But what we're talking about is not that. What we're talking about is daily emotions, little ups and downs, little tick marks on your Richter scale. We're not talking about an 8.8 on the Richter scale, right? We're talking about just like little twos.
Yeah.
And when you express those 2s and 3s on the Richter scale out to people, you just look unstable. It's a great point that oftentimes expressing your emotions to the world doesn't improve your situation or your position at all.
Correct.
In fact, I would say that most of the time, expressing your emotions to the world sets you back. And that is why I vote in many cases to stifle your emotions. Keep them in.
Yeah.
Don't let other people see. You put your cards on the table, right? You put your emotional cards on the table. Now you can't gamble anymore. You're not in the game anymore. The person knows what's going on. That you're giving it to them. You're not going to know what I'm thinking. You're going to think everything's cool with me.
Yeah.
We're training jiu-jitsu, right? If I'm getting frustrated and I show that to you, what does that do? You're getting, all of a sudden, you just go level up.
You think, oh, I got him. He's frustrated right now. He can't. Oh, I'm working. This is working against him. If I'm just saying the same face all the time, which is what I do primarily, hey, same face all the time. Just, move in the same way. When you do get me, I forget what you say. When you get me to react to something good,
recognize the urgency.
Yeah, you say, oh, I recognize a little urgency there. And I always go, damn. I don't want him to recognize. I'd rather just have you just pass my guard and you're just there and me just sit there like it's no big deal because it's not. Then me get all panicky. Yeah. Where then you level up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with life, right? Yep. Every time you express these big emotions to your boss or to your team, you express these big emotions to your team, they see all your cards. Don't let them see all your cards. Is this manipulating? Kind of. Right? This is one of those things where people think, oh, transparency. We hear that all the time these days. Transparency. You got to be transparent. No, actually you don't.
Yeah, not with that.
You don't have to be transparent all the time.
Yeah.
You have to win the game. You know what? Does the football coach go out and hand his playbook to the other football team? No. He's got to win the game.
Yeah, typically no.
And that's not how you win the game. So you know what we're doing? We're playing chess. It's emotional chess. You're playing with other human beings. You want to win. Now, if you're winning so that I can take advantage of you, so I can manipulate you and get something from you that you don't want to give me, that's bad. And I'm not talking about doing that. But if what I'm doing is keeping my calm so that instead of escalating an argument with you, I'm getting you to see it from my perspective just by remaining calm, that's what we're talking about here.
And what is an emotion? And again, like a thought is an energy entity, an emotion too is an entity that is an energy form. You cannot see it, but you can only see how it manifests in the external world. But an emotion is an energy form that lives in you. It's a little entity. And if you recognize it, then there's an awareness there. Without awareness, often you can easily be run by your emotions. And that means the emotion, whether it be, let's say it could be anger, it could be sadness, could be anxiety, whatever it may be, deep regret, jealousy, envy, whatever it is, the emotion, this energy invades, which at first you might feel in the body, it then rises up into your mind, and then it controls your thinking. So when you feel deeply negative, then or angry, then the emotion rises into your mind, and every thought reflects the emotion that you feel, because the emotion is thinking through you and the emotion is feeding on your thoughts. So the loop happens, the vicious circle. The emotion creates thought, and the thought amplifies the emotion. So in the case of anger, you get more and more angry. The more you think about it, the more angry you get. Until finally you lash out, completely lost. And of course, if it's a child also experiences that. Sometimes some children have temper tantrums, and or they may other very violent emotions. Some children have learned that the only way they can get attention from their parents is by displaying violent emotions, because otherwise parents don't give them attention. So a child would say, as you know, if you're probably aware of the term I use, pain body. Pain body is the term I use for an accumulation of old emotion that still lives in you. It's unrecognized as emotion. It lives in you as an entity. It's an accumulation of negative emotion, or often goes back to early childhood. An accumulation of negative emotion that hasn't left you, that dwells in your body somewhere, and I call it the pain body. And it's helpful to look at it as a little entity almost, an entity that lives in your gremlin.
I was with a friend who went to the hospital one day. His grandmother was dying. He kept calling, "Ma dear, I love you." And she said, "I'm not gonna make it, but I called you down here because I want to ask you something. Do you know your great-grandfather's name?" He said, "No, Ma dear, I don't." She said, "You know why?" She said, "Because he didn't leave you nothing." She said, "I want you to go away from here, and I want you to live your life so that your children's grandchildren will know your name." And when I heard that, it changed me. I said, wow, I'm going to start living my life so that my grandkids' kids know my name. Then I've accomplished the deal.
You look at your life, you look at what you produce. Is it giving you what you want? Are you living on purpose? Are you living your dream? Are you acting on your ideas? Are you procrastinating? Are you evading your own greatness? Is your life an adventure or is it boring? See, a lot of people go to work every day miserable, and all they do is just talk about how miserable they are. You've got to find ways to increase your sense of self-appreciation, because if you don't, you will find yourself unconsciously engaged in self-destructive behavior. If you don't program yourself, life will program you.
You gotta run. You gotta run. You can't just wake up in the morning, let me see what's gonna happen today. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I just woke up. Oh, you should stay in the bed. Give the day to somebody who has a plan, because success is never an accident. And if you don't want it, get out of my way, because there are some people who want to do something with their life, who will run.
God has put gifts and talents in you. You have something to offer that nobody else has. But it's easy to let fear hold us back. What if I try and it doesn't happen? What if people don't accept me? Too often, we're letting the what ifs talk us out of it. My message today is very simple. Quit hiding what God has given you. When God breathed His life into you, He lit your candle. He created you to shine, to make a difference, to leave your mark. We need your talent. We need your creativity. We need your smile. You can't play it safe your whole life and become who you were created to be. You can't wait till the fear goes away and then you'll do it. When I get my courage up, then I'll teach that class. Then I'll start my business. Then I'll go out on that date. You're going to have to do it in spite of the fear. I feel afraid, but fear is not going to control my life. I'm going to take a step of faith. No one that's ever done anything great in life has done it without fear. They felt the fear, but they did it afraid. It's now or never. You either take that step of faith or that moment will not pass by again. When you're close to releasing your gift, you will feel fear more than ever. That's the enemy trying to deceive you into keeping your gift hidden. He doesn't want you to go where no one in your family has gone. He'll work overtime to try to convince you to shrink back, play it safe. Well, what if I fail? You get up and try again. Every failure is preparing you. You will learn more through failure than you will through success. You can't be so afraid of failure that you won't get out of your comfort zone. Even if it doesn't work out, you're learning. You're one step closer to seeing it happen. When we come to the end of life, nothing will be more disappointing than to think, what would have happened if I would have taken that step of faith? Where would I be if I wouldn't have hid my gifts, hid my talents, hid my creativity? Friends, life is short. Don't let the fear of people, the fear of failure, the fear of being criticized hold you back. I don't want people talking badly about me. Can I tell you respectfully, somebody's talking about you right now. Somebody is jealous of your success. People are going to talk whether you settle or whether you stretch. You might as well stretch and pursue what God put in your heart. What they say doesn't determine who you are. Every person has negative chatter. Tune it out. Quit letting it upset you. God hears what they're saying. He'll fight your battles. He'll be your vindicator. Everyone is not supposed to be for you. You can't reach your destiny without opposition. Joseph would have never taken the throne without his brothers throwing him into a pit. David would have never become king without Goliath. Some enemies are designed as a part of your destiny. They're not going to stop you, they're going to promote you. Keep running your race, not looking to the left nor to the right. Other people may not be able to see your gifts. They don't know what God's put in you. Don't let the fear of what they think hold you back. You're not going to give an account to people of what you did with your life. We're going to give an account to God. You can talk yourself into your dreams, or you can talk yourself out of your dreams. Quit telling yourself that you can't do it. You don't have the training. Get rid of those excuses and start telling yourself what God says about you. You are strong. You are blessed. You are favored. You have been fearfully and wonderfully made. I wouldn't be standing here if I had not learned to step out even though I felt afraid. What are you hiding? Your gifts? Your personality? It's time to let your light shine. Quit hiding your smile. Brighten our day. Quit hiding your encouragement. Lift somebody up. If you can write, start writing. If you can build, start building. That gift was not meant to stay hidden. It's not doing you any good, nor is it doing us any good as long as you keep it to yourself. The wealthiest place on earth is in the graveyards. Buried in those graves are hidden dreams, books that were never written, businesses never started, inventions never invented. I'm asking you to release what you have. God didn't give you that dream so that it could stay buried. We have a responsibility. God has entrusted us with gifts and talents. Don't live passively, just taking whatever life brings your way. Shake off the complacency and get focused. Where could you be at this time next year if you got rid of the distractions and you put all your effort into the main thing God put in your heart? You can do many things good, but you can't do many things great. Find that one thing and excel at it. Focus on your one thing and do it to the best of your ability. Jesus told a parable about a businessman that was going on a trip. He called 3 employees over. He gave one 5 talents, another 2 talents, and the third 1 talent. The man with 5 talents went out and invested his and gained 5 more. The man with 2 gained 2 more. But the man with 1 talent was afraid. What if the economy goes down? What if somebody steals it from me? So he went and buried his talent in the ground. You'll never increase as long as you're living fear-based. Fear of people, fear of what could happen. All 3 men had the same opportunity. 2 did something with their gifts. The third, he played it safe and buried it. The owner came back. The man with the 5 talents said, "Here are the 5 you gave me, plus 5 more I gained." The man with the 2, "Here are the original 2, plus 2 more. Again, well done." The third man came up and said, "Sir, I didn't want to lose what you gave me, so I hid my talent. Here's the 1 back that you gave me." The owner was expecting a profit. It wasn't acceptable to just give back what was given. He was expecting increase. He was angry. He took that talent and gave it to the man that had 5. It's interesting, The man didn't lie. He didn't cheat. He didn't kill somebody. He didn't have an affair. What did he do? He hid what God gave him. You and I have been given gifts. God has entrusted us with them. Like that owner, we're going to see him. He's going to ask, what did you do with the talents I gave you? God has given us all different abilities. We're not competing with each other. You don't have to keep up with your neighbor. What matters is, what are you doing with what you have? Have you buried it? Or are you living faith-based, growing, stretching, increasing, looking for opportunities, believing you have seeds of greatness? Are you burying what you should be showing and showing what you should be burying? Why don't you start burying the insecurity, burying the doubt, burying what the critics have said, and start showing your talent? If you will bury the fear and show your faith, you'll see increase. You'll see new levels.
So here's one of the key expressions of the evening. Take a new inventory of yourself and make sure that all of your talent and ability and mentality and ingenuity and vitality and strong feelings, courage, make sure that all you've got's being used. Otherwise, you lose.